Hello, Pixels, and welcome to another episode of the Pixel Podcast. We're your hosts, Hanwha and Olivia, and we're so excited to introduce to you our first featuring guest of the podcast this year, Harper. She's going to be sharing about her experience founding the ODD, or the Open Discourse and Dialogue Initiative, that she wants to share with our OHS community. I'll pass it over to Olivia now to get started with some icebreaker questions to hopefully get to know our special guest better.
Thanks, Hanwha. Harper, we're so glad to have you on the podcast today. Thanks for joining us. So to start, could you tell us your name, grade, your favorite class you're taking at OHS this year, and maybe one of your favorite hobbies you enjoy outside of classes?
Yes, I can. So, hello everyone. My name is Harper Bruner. I'm a junior this year at OHS. And I have to say, I have two favorite classes this year. So, the classes that I'm taking that are my favorites right now are Critical Theory of the Anthropocene and Globalization and Imperial Exchange. And outside of OHS, I am a competitive tennis player and do volunteer work. And in my free time, I like to read.
That sounds incredible. So what made you join the OHS community in the first place, and why did you want to attend a school in this online format?
Yeah, so when I was in eighth grade, I actually moved cities. So I moved from Athens to Atlanta. Um, I took a single course at OHS during that year, and I was also enrolled full time at a brick and mortar school. And, I just really fell in love with that single course that I took. And from there, decided to go full time at OHS for high school.
Nice, full time now. So what made you want to start the Open Discourse and Dialogue Initiative? And what is the ODD initiative's mission statement or overall purpose?
Yeah, so this initiative was sparked in part by my experience last year at Dr. Keating's leadership seminar. So in that seminar, we read two of Adam Grant's books, and in these books, it talked about finding the gray area during heated discussions and disagreements. So his ideas really emphasize that progress doesn't really come from winning debates but from engaging in meaningful dialogue that embraces complexity. And I think this just really resonated with me because I was thinking about our generation, and the world we live in today. um, it's very divisive, like, it has a very divisive political climate, social media platforms, heated topics, everything like that. So that was where it really kind of sparked, and then from there, my interest was actually furthered when I attended the University of Chicago's summer program called the Parousia Ambassador Program. And in this program, we learned about ways to engage in civil discourse, open debate, and respectful dialogue. So, we did a lot of workshops and practice conversations. So I was able to witness, firsthand how, as individuals, we can grow through a conversation with someone. Um, on the opposite side of, say, like a specific topic. So yeah, that's really where it sparked from. And now I do have my mission statement, so I am happy to read it off so everybody can kind of know what this is going to be all about. Um, but yeah, so basically, my mission statement is the Odd Initiative is a student led club dedicated to bringing people together through open, respectful conversation. In a world where disagreements often divide us, we believe that real progress comes from listening, learning, and understanding, not from trying to win arguments. Our mission is to create a space where students can explore complex issues, ask questions, and share different perspectives. We aim to move beyond black and white, thinking and encouraging thoughtful dialogue that recognizes the gray areas. So, in today's biggest challenges, we believe that when people feel heard, connection grows and solutions become possible. At OHS, our diverse community gives us a unique opportunity to practice these skills every day. So, through conversations, activities, and collaborative discussions, we work to understand the experiences and values that shape each person's point of view. We know dialogue isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. By choosing to engage with openness rather than judgment, we help create a culture of curiosity, respect, and positive change. Our goal is simple: talk to each other, not about each other, and use conversation as a tool for understanding and progress.
Thanks so much, Harper. It sounds like such a powerful message that you're trying to promote in OHS and outside too. Now I'm going to pass the mic back to Hanwell for some more in-depth questions about the Odd initiative.
Thanks, Olivia. And Harper, I really find it so important, that idea of finding that gray area. I think that's such an important value, even beyond OHS. So I'm sure a lot of viewers are interested in your organization. That being said, how do you think OHSers can support or join this initiative?
Yeah, so basically, my plan is to start a club for the next school year of 26-27. And before the club next year, I will be starting a social media platform and a blog where I hope to gain, support and spread the word through. So, like, follow, join, and spread the word. That would be helpful to get it out for next year. But yeah.
Super cool. And are the discussions you have like debates or open forum type sessions? Could you describe a little more about how this runs? Could you describe an example of some of the things that members might discuss during these sessions?
Of course. So I haven't, worked out all the nuts and bolts yet, but kind of what I envision is group meetings where in the beginning I share, some tips or strategies for productive conversation. And depending on how many people we have, either people will break out into groups or it will just be kind of a one-on-one session. So I would like for a topic to be given to each group with a time limit. And at the end of each group, they'll share their progress. So basically, where they started and where they were able to get to by the end of the time. So, for example, a tip I may be giving instead of just saying something like, I firmly believe this is the only choice, right? Like, that's a little defensive. That's not maybe something that's as productive as saying, while I don't believe this myself, I can understand your position. Or, I'm willing to listen to your arguments and stay open minded about my position. So, this differs from debates because the point of a debate is to win, right? And this is not the point of these conversations. So, this isn't necessarily debating. This is more like conversing, but in a very productive way. So, that's kind of the goal here. But I think, like, mainly in my overall goal is to help our OHS community engage in difficult conversations. Most difficult conversations begin with people who are kind of like already on defense, ready to fight, kind of assuming the worst of the other person's point of view. But when this happens, we don't really get to, the why behind someone's beliefs. So if we can come to the table with, a little more curiosity, a little more openness, and a willingness to kind of talk about these different differences, the dynamic can really, really shift. So the goal isn't necessarily like agreement at the end of the day, but it's leaving with a sense of understanding, which feels more like progress than leaving angry and frustrated. And I'm sure that, as students, as peers, we've all pretty much gone through this. Like, if you had an argument with someone and, it was super positive, you got a lot out of it, even though you were on different sides, you kind of walk away from that feeling like you gained something, right? So you might be thinking about that for the next like 2 weeks, like, oh, wow, that really kind of changed and helped my side or made me believe something from their side, right? But when you have a conversation that kind of goes downhill, people get angry, people get frustrated, you kind of leave that conversation feeling like, wow, okay, like, what did we really get out of that, right? So I think that if we can find a little bit of common ground instead of just focusing on the differences, we can leave with, food for thought instead of leaving with negative thoughts. So I think that's just really important.
Definitely. That sounds very interesting. Could you tell us a little bit about your long term goals for the ODD initiative?
Yes, I can. So even though I'm thinking very much for OHS, I'm also thinking a little bit bigger than OHS. So I've been talking to two friends about hopefully starting clubs at their schools as well. Um, and one of them is a girl I actually met at OHS in ninth grade. History class, so much fun. She lives in Pakistan and she no longer is enrolled at OHS because, time zones are crazy. Um, but she is very interested in working with me and bringing this into her school as well. And then I have another friend. I actually met her at the U Chicago program, and she lives in DC. So, as we know, DC is a very central hub for a lot of the stuff that I would like to bring into this as well. So she's very interested in coming into this and providing some support and bringing this to her school as well.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the ODD initiative?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily have anything more to add, to what we've already discussed. However, I would like to say that I think it's incredibly important. Like it's a very important skill that our generation needs to work on and to practice. And, it feels like the world becomes more divisive and people become more heated and closed off through the years. Um, which is something that I would like to kind of go away from and kind of expand upon how we can look at this in a completely different light, right? But I want people to know too that I'm learning this as we go too. So just as much as these people are learning, I want to learn how to be able to spread this as well. And I think it's really important just for kind of all of us to be able to understand and just kind of be able to feel like we can talk about things without being, judged or cornered or having to be on the defense all the time. So, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this, but I'm really excited to get started. And yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, definitely. I think the world is, as you said, getting more polarized. So this initiative is not just something that would truly be so beneficial, but it would perhaps also be very much needed for some people. It would be very valuable. Thank you so much, Harper. I'll pass it back to Olivia now to wrap up this episode.
Yeah, thanks, Hongwell, and thank you, Harper, for joining us today. The Odd Initiative sounds great, and we're grateful and thrilled to have heard more about it today. So stay tuned for more updates about the Odd Initiative and how you can support it. As Harper mentioned, there is a blog, social media, and club to come soon. And as always, thank you, viewers, for watching another episode of the Pixel Podcast. We'll see you all in the next episode. Signing off,
Hanwell?
and Olivia. Thank you.